Okay, let's stop.
Okay.
There's
So do the short refuge print. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye chodang choki chodam la changchu bardu dagni kyamsu chi. Dagi jinso ki pe sonam ki drola penche sangye drupa sho.
Lama Zave Lama Jino Bode Lama Guji Honzo Dabu Gajin Jesu Jin Tuve Debo Tabe Lando Tujin Oda Jeve Jesu Gajin Dada Daba Dami Dorjen Chawan Wamba Jigomba Gara Chen Dorjen Chang Chen Bon Chen Chen No Zohan Dero Tunye Zonye Jelo Jemo Dumna Yata Zoye Danyen Deva Zaje Namo Nasi Nadake Lama La Nasi Shishin So Jabamba Kanzo Yudu Zohan Den Kova Tondo Susin Jelo Jeno Zoge Masun Jimmy Javeto Chebe Shinga Dante Zawe Danye Gatin Jendo Wajimse Rumbo Jeda Simji Jinga Niso Wande Chunye Jinga Dusun Jelo Sendo Nijimena Londe Chuku Dobra Sinje Lo Nangpa Danye Be Simje Tamje Lo Chuzun Dobra Sinje Lo Dozo Chulom Dozo Sinje Lo Dozo Lan Chulo Sevara Sinje Tuna Yishi Zan Chavara Sinje La Dozo Zasa Jajimbo Chuku Muda Dobra Sinje La Dozo Jewa Kundo Yanda Lamat Rami Shi Jebala Longje Je Sadalam Je Yende Rabzone Dorje Change Komba Nyodo Sho Sanjo Simne Rinpoche Maje Bonam Jidre Je Jebanya Bamya Ode Gondo Bewara Sho. Okay, welcome. Nice to see you, everyone. Okay, so now I'm going to read the uh, Longchenpa's talk teachings. The verses, I believe so, 8. Okay, 8 in Tibetan. Nyerba nyene zuwo la sopa. Tapka tase songshin yi mi jang. Zongzin loye semtel jongwe ju. Dunzi jongwa kowe ningdam yins.
Even though caretakers, attendants, people in charge, and cooks constitute the lifeblood of a monastery, entertaining dualistic perception is the cause for strife. To give up such chores is my hard advice.
Okay. I think this is okay, so now I think this is a very of course very, very clear. So as a general speaking, of course, those who are taken care of is as a in ordinary life, as in the community of the in the monasteries and places, uh, and so on, and as well as uh, others in our ordinary life too. It's a wonderful things to people take care. We really, really appreciate it. There is no doubt. Without those taken care of, it is impossible, actually. I don't have to go through big example, but like us here. Today we're meeting together, especially and the team and Katie was working with this organizing together. So that's what we are. Sometimes these things are very much relying on different ways. It's wonderful. Oh, it's wonderful things there. So we appreciate it. Those are always necessary. And some cases like here, uh, Longchenpa saying, as a true practitioner like oneself, then oh, uh, these are sometimes, uh, and we do too much things and anywhere. So then it's a little bit obstacle to there's no time for actual practice, actual, you know, inside meditations and so on. It's a little bit obstacle for that. Oh, so therefore, oh, uh, therefore, as a oneself really want to practice, then these are has to be a little bit kind of uh, balance is important. I think so. Uh, the balance is the point is the balance. Uh, for me is myself too. For my own practices, I can't teach all the time. There's no way. You know, there's no way. I have to have my own time for practice and study as possible, to study more from others as I do myself. So which is supported my inner knowledge, wisdom, practices, and so on. So as long as I increase my knowledge, the wisdom, the knowledge I share other people, then it's benefit, right? It seems like it's selfish, but actually it's not. You know, it is more in order to benefit others. So likewise, oh, oh, so therefore, mm, so those are kind of still sometimes. Oh, it happens too in our not it here. Longchenpa Jampas talking about. It sounds like in a community of the monks, nuns. That happens a lot. Not just that. He says etc. So on or so on. That sometimes a little bit has to be mindful, you know, or so many things there actually. Or sometimes it looks like outside looks dharma, but actually it's not. It's the same as a samsara, as the same thing. Not much differences, only colors differences. uh, the acting's differences, but actually it's the same. Or have to go through this, all the emotions and all these challenges. So therefore, I think so. Sometimes it's um, uh, distractions possible. Yeah, it's true. My own limited experience in my life. I've been doing those things too. You know, in the past, my beginning short story is when I graduate, then I went to the monastery teachings, so many things. uh, uh, it's a wonderful, but I did not learn myself so much, you know. Uh, so then I'd give up that part actually. That doing the so many things. So on, that's long stories there. I quite bit experience. And then I in the West working with the people sometimes or in certain centers. Then I give up that either sometimes. It's too much. uh, so the most important as I didn't give up is teaching. Is they never ever give up and continue still working. You know, not too much, but time to time. It's nice to. Of course, the reason is the uh, teaching is the actually represents of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Actually, you know, teaching is the actual the Lama. the teacher itself. So therefore, represent of the text itself is the symbolic of the real Lama there actually. Nothing else actually. Text itself, teachers actually. The teachers is actually like the teachings of the Buddhas, right? So therefore, those things are certain things that we needed to give up. No doubt, really, it doesn't help so much. Or certain things like teaching and benefiting other ways, certain things, those are continue has to work. Doesn't matter, no matter what. Okay, that's my thought. That's the point is the kind of here go back to the point is the teachings of the Thich Nhat Hanh. I remember I was close reading his book about the practice of mindfulness teachings, meditation, the book about that. So it was very, very helpful. So go back to it's about actually the training about back to the one word is the has to be always be mindful. That's all. Wow. So okay, like to hear anybody. I'm talking to myself too long.
No, no.
Thank you, Lama Gursam. Rich, would you like to start off and ask any questions or make some comments?
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of these verses I'm not really sure how to take them from the Western perspective, but I think we're just like ingrained to just like work ourselves to death. And even if we're fortunate enough to be exposed to the Dharma, like this passage is saying, like all these things are really important, right? So like to work in a monastery to help, at least peripherally expand, support people like you, Lama Gershon, to expand the Dharma out to others. It seems from a relative point of view, pretty positive, wholesome, or meritful activity. Um, and, right now I'm also going through some other classes, learning about Dzogchen, and kind of the cool thing there is, really Dzogchen is taking this really, this look at, like what is dualism, what is the ultimate reality, what is the relative reality. And I think really, Lama, you hit something that you said really struck me, and that is really just probably listening. You know, it's recursive, right? The more we learn about ourselves and about the Dharma, the more we can understand those differences between dualism and what our motivations are. And I think that's really where, Lama, you said you've given up all these things these things that you used to do. And that to me reflects, like this ability, this cultivation of the ability to listen to yourself, right? To find that middle way, um, to know when you are maybe no longer cultivating good virtue, or if you're burning yourself out or you're missing opportunities to learn the Dharma yourself. So I just these yeah a lot of these passages really strike home to me, because I have a very hard work ethic, and I've really burned myself out over the years, and only recently starting to find space for myself to recover. And actually I've been working 2 jobs, which is why I missed this group so much. All of last year, I was teaching a second job on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I gave that up. And so I don't really know. I think, that's the fine line here. Is I don't know if Longchen Rabjam is trying to put this lofty goal up so that some people listen. Because what if everyone all of a sudden took this hard advice and just stopped supporting the monasteries? I think that is not something that is ultimately good for our relative reality. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of this in my relative point of view, and I guess that's all we can really do. Like I feel like I have many questions about this, but I'm not really sure how to phrase them, and not really sure there's an answer other than I'm just sort of saying how this piece touches me and how I'm interpreting it. But I don't know if anyone has any comments about that, or yeah, it's about all that's on my mind right now.
Thanks, Rich. A lot of food for thought there. I don't know, Lama, is there anything you want to respond to that, or should we just go to the next person? Let's see. Who's
Well,
next?
yes, not much to say actually. Um, I think these all things we do at the monastery at any levels, it's always wonderful. But there is, as you mentioned too, actually, uh, sometimes it's too much. Then it burns. So that's I only look at this way. Be as I mentioned about the Thich Nhat Hanh's talk, the mindfulness, the where to go in the middle way, it's important. But they continue to helping whatever it is individually, whatever we can. It is wonderful to do, to activate. It's always as well helpful. Uh, but at the same times, I think the most important I can take this advice from this Longchen Ramjam's, the heart advice is for me is I have to be practice myself, have time, train my own self. That's why I'm taking my understanding, you know. So then I can make a balance and continue working, benefiting, being find kind of not giving up, continue to benefit others. When we don't have our own, did not build strong determination or the confidence, the increase in the wisdoms and so on, then it is sometimes challenges. That's why I see it. So that's why I see it. The reason is I'm not any other reasons. But the only reason is I have to build my own knowledge and wisdom to continue working for others, you know, uh, practices and so on. So that's what I see. And one other example is when of course, as you know, I'm teaching. So, when I don't have opportunity for my own practice, I don't feel any comfortable anymore. It's wonderful. I read books and that's one way, other way. What I'm talking about here, actually, in order to prepare, so if I have some practice, let's say today I'm teaching. If I had some practice yesterday, I my words, what I speaking, the words are becoming. It means something. It brings me also a little bit kind of confidence and comfortable. uh, so that's why I take advice, the heart of advice for me. This I mean all this teaching here. What is?
Yeah. I was really appreciating what of course what Lama is saying and Rich you had to say. It made me think about I think it's Lama Zopa who talks about something being merely labeled. And so we're thinking about these caretakers, attendants, people in charge, cooks. They're merely labeled these kinds of things. And yet they continue to be the lifeblood of the monastery. So there's something as Lama says, like indispensable about these labels. But as long as we're continuing to entertain a dualistic perception, or we have this idea that there's something solid there, we're suffering and we're causing others to suffer as well. And so there's this sense that we have to give that up in order to see through the attachments or the aversions or whatever the disturbing emotions are that we hold in relation to these things. And so I think as I read Dharma texts, there's often what seems to be something contradictory, right? Like this is the lifeblood, and yet you need to give it up. And the Dharma holds these things in tension so well, and it gives us this opportunity to try to understand what emptiness means, or what the true nature of mind is, or something deeper. And so I appreciate that the Dharma provides us with those tensions so that we can work to understand those in our mind.
Well, let me take a few more thoughts here. I thought, of course, you all knows because general experience, and as you know, I'm also the former monk, so I've been in a monastery. I have a little bit knowledge about the monastery situations are. So as just giving you as a kind of my knowledge wise, of course, many of you already know. Sometimes what happens is because of the teachings of this Longchenpa, of course, I haven't read completely understanding his life story, but I know a little bit about him, but I still have to learn more. Then it's easy to understanding the masters, the ideas, their backgrounds, then the writers, how they wrote the text. The monastery, what happened is sometimes, not always, some cases, many times it happens. When it's labeled as Katie mentions, a lot of labels, a lot of titles, a lot of things there. So then they become so attached to that. You know, I am become a Campbell, I am become a such and such, I'm becoming this and that. So then it's their spend all life is becoming there actually, wondering those same as Acharya, you know, the actual didn't have opportunity, didn't have the enough for true practices, you know. So then there's these distractions happen here, the holding many ways, you know, grasping different things. And then there's sometimes the worst part is the power struggles and the so on and so there's many other same as a ordinary life actually it happens actually it's nothing so much differences. So then this for my understanding it happens in a monastery a lot really. uh, so so therefore sometimes uh, certain times uh, we as a monastery life we stuck there, you know, we didn't really wake up from that, didn't realize that much. I'm just stuck there somewhere, you know, still believe into the, oh, I'm doing this, such things, so many, you know, but actually it's not, you know, oh, there is something, as earlier I mentioned, so sometimes it's good to have a break from that things, like just let go, let let give up those titles, just give up and have some time for practice, actual practice, sit down and meditate and study something like that, you know. Or sometimes that happens in monastery a lot, you know. In myself too, you know, really. It myself happened many, not too long, but many years. It happens sometimes. So I don't know. That's what I see. I really be aware about it, you know. Then I thought about, no, this is this is not just work, you know. This is I have to just leave it and just move in kind of more freedom, you know. Some certain times is as we all talk about the freedom, it's individually freedom. It's so important actually, really. The positive way, you know. I'm not talking about the selfish way. No, individual freedom is so important to have, like for instance, in the religious point of view, everybody should have a freedom to whatever they want to do practice, whatever they want to do study, wherever they want to go. They should have that. Sometimes monastery quite a big challenge that happens. I'm not really blaming anything. Okay, make sure if I made misunderstanding, my words are English is very limited, but sometimes that happens, you know. So therefore, like a little bit opens and uh, yeah, have really positive individual freedom to whatever they want, you know, time to time. I think so. They always have to be aware about the timing, you know. Uh, when I did a 5 6 year monastery working, then I thought about, oh, this is enough now. I did my best, you know. I thought this is enough. Now I have to stop there, you know. How much other praise to me says, oh, you did a wonderful job, you're doing this. So then again, obstacle there when we attach to that things. It happens to me too, you know. So I think I did give up that. Then I went to retreat myself. Went to retreat beginning. I know that's how difficult it was, but how difficult was also as I was in that situation was I was teaching at the students. So it's very difficult for the students. I know that very, very well. You know how difficult it when you miss one teacher, you know, some level, and then you substitute for the another comes the next one. It's quite a big challenge for the new generation, you know. But at the same time, I have to. It sounds like a selfish, but not that was selfish. But I have to. I have to do it. I have to do it. I did it actually. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about, you know, the balance part. Sorry, we are have to please continue discuss, please.
Thank you, Lama.
Do
That's
that.
good,
So
good
things
insights.
we have to leave. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and hold your questions for next week if you had some. And I guess we'll do dedication now. Good to see you all.
Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Changchup samchok rinpoche make panam gegyo chi kepa nyamba mekwa yang kongne gondo pelwan shu.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Lama. Thank you everyone for coming. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a great rest of your week and weekend.